Hey there, we're here with the Peavey P2 line array. I'm going to turn this down just a little bit here, and I wanted to show this off. This is one of those products that when Peavey announced it, we looked at it in the catalog and online, and there weren't a whole lot of details released on it yet, and then we kind of forgot about it. We started carrying the Evox from RCF, those all three of those systems, the 5, the 8, and the 12, and so column arrays were kind of in our mind, but this one kind of got forgotten. Speaking to my rep the other day, my Peavey rep, and we decided to give this guy a try. So I'm pleasantly surprised, I have to tell you, and we'll get into some of those details later. For starters, I thought I'd read just a few of the specs here. It is not the lightest of units at 76 pounds, but it's real solidly built. We'll get into the construction later. The sub, just so you're aware, separately is 57 pounds, and the satellites are a little over 18 pounds. I believe that's for the pair, if I'm reading that right. And yeah, that's for the pair. The power on it is one of the reasons that we just kind of went, oh, okay. Because it just doesn't seem like it's much, but it's deceptive, I will say that. So the sub has 130 watts peak, and then the tops are 120 watts peak, so 250 watts total power. Doesn't seem like much on paper, but in real life it's pretty impressive, and we'll get into that a little bit as well. The frequency response says 56 to 20K, so 56 hertz doesn't seem all that low. Again, it's kind of deceptive, and I'm wondering if that's an anechoic, whereas we're, in the real world, we're in half space. So there is a three-way system here that's published. I suspect it might be a little more. So the sub is handling 150 hertz on down, and then this section is handling 150 hertz to 2 kilohertz, and then the top section handles above that. Now, Luis and I were listening pretty closely. Luis is my right-hand man, my manager here, and we were listening pretty closely, and it seems like there might be some internal crossover in each of the modules as well. This top one seemed to be doing really sizzly stuff, and then we were getting a little more high-mid here, etc. So I think there's some other internal gadgetry going on there that we're not aware of. The dispersion that's published on here, I'm really questioning that. I believe it's probably a mistake in the specs. It says 50 degrees horizontal by 35 degrees vertical. The vertical, I think, is probably pretty spot on. That's pretty common with a column array like this. It's that horizontal that I think is probably a misprint of some sort. I'm going to do a little bit of my own testing here later on to kind of test that, because it sure seems a lot wider than that. I'm going to say closer to at least 120, 130 degrees. It sure seemed like as we listen to it out here. It's a little early in the morning, or I'd crank it up with some tunes right now. We'll wait a little bit and I'll get some footage of that. You will see I've got the subwoofer up here, and that's because I want to go through some of the construction details and the assembly of it and share those with you. So I've got this set up here, and we'll change a couple settings on the camera, move it up close so you can see things real nice and tight, and you won't have to look at my ugly mug anymore, and we'll focus on these details. So we'll be right back. Okay, so we're cutting off my upper torso here, but there's nothing wrong with that. So here we have the sub, and it's got a nice rounded front. The sub is constructed, it's a wood construction. Feels really nice and solid. And it's got kind of the hammerhead textured coating on there. And then you'll see on the top here, we'll see if I can tip that over. That is the connection for your speaker. So one thing that's nice about that, it leaves a really nice, crisp, clean appearance when you've got it assembled. It is a proprietary connector though, so it's pretty protected. It's flush, so I don't think you'll have any damage, during normal use unless you intentionally get after it. But it might be a little bit of a concern there. There's some recessed things. You can see it's kind of a smiley face. Those recesses match on the speaker. So I'm going to grab the bottom module here, and they are marked. This one's marked bottom right there. So on the module, there are corresponding pieces here. Now these do serve a couple purposes. It protects that connector there, which is one of those flat band connectors, but then it also aligns with those holes here. So it simply sits in to the recess there. You push it down in, and then each module has a little thumb screw. Okay, and so that thumb screw goes in here into the threaded portion, and you just tighten that critter up, and it's really well, it's secure there. So I don't think there's a whole lot of risk of anything coming loose there. So, and then on the top of this bottom module, there's another corresponding female connector there, and got that tightened up. And so this one, again, clearly marked top right there, has that same connector and that same recess, but on the top it does not have any of those connections. So that just sits up here just like that. That's, I'm sure, way out of view. And then you run your thumb screw down there again. So that's how the thing is constructed. The top modules are feel to be aluminum. So it's aluminum around the sides and the back, and then with the plastic end caps. Each one of these has a total of 4 3.5-inch woofer or 3.5-inch tweeters in it, or full range speakers, I suppose they'd call them, depending on where the crossover is. So it feels nice and solid. I have to say the whole thing feels really solid, especially considering the price point there. So I'm going to leave this connected here. We're going to flip it around, and then Bob's going to step back and look at the camera and see if we've got a good framing here. Okay, so we're going to zoom in just a little bit. Okay, so here we go. We'll get rid of my price tag, and there we go. This is one of the things that really sets this one apart. We've got a 3-channel mixer here, and I think that's just a really great thing. It's got a variety of inputs that you can do here. So we've got a Combi Jack XLR 1/4 inch with its own separate volume, and then we have a left right in 1/4 inch, or just left mono if you want to do it that way, with its own control, and then a pair of RCF connectors with their own control. We also have a output jack to go to another speaker. Now there's a little bit of tweaking you can do here. Not a whole lot of DSP, but there is some DSP going on. First thing though is a level control, and that's for your mic line switch. I have plugged a mic directly into this, and sounds really nice and natural with voice. And one of the other nice things with this column, you can stand almost right in front of that thing with it cranked pretty darn hard and not feed back. So that's one advantage of getting away from that compression driver. Then here we have a couple of things. There's actually some DSP for the sub and some DSP for the highs, if that makes sense. So I've got a low cut switch. For instance, if I was using this as just a announcement type thing, I might want to use that low cut. There's a flat response, and then there's a boost. Okay, so that's all my low frequency settings there. And then on the high frequencies, I've got flat, and then I've got voice, and the voice is going to accentuate some of those high mids, make it more intelligible. Specifically, I'm thinking of, say, using it as an auctioneer or just for announcements, emceeing an event or something like that. So really nice little mixer here. I could see, you don't have any reverb or anything, but I could see, coffee house type thing, acoustic guitar and a vocal mic, maybe some backing tracks going in with one of these and being just super happy. I could see this as a great piano monitor, a keyboard monitor. It's just got really nice solid sound all the way. There's a lot of things I could see with this. Of course, in from a mixer, if you want to mix a small band with this guy, I think it would do a great job with that as well. So I didn't show on the side of the cabinet here, there's these nice smiley face handles. They're really solidly built, flush mount. So that wraps up kind of the construction of this. I'm going to move things around one more time and give you some closing remarks and kind of my thoughts, and then we'll also see if we can get some audio playback at a higher volume for you. Okay, so who is this for? I think this is really a great unit if you're a small group, or I'm going to probably put this in my rental fleet. It's going to be a great little unit. A lot of times we have people for rentals that say they're doing an outdoor wedding and they don't need a whole lot. They just need to be able to plug in a pastor's mic and play some music in the background for the march and things like that. For just a general sound system for public address, I think it's going to be awesome for that. Sounds good, it's easy to set up, it's not confusing. There's one knob for my person to use. Smaller acoustic acts. I can see a smaller acoustic act just being really, really pleased with this. And I think you could actually, do some small DJ gigs. I'm talking in the 100 to 150 people type room. Not necessarily the big hip hop thing, but social gatherings, anything like that. I think it's going to be a great unit. Compares very well sound-wise with the Evox 5. I would say that the Evox 5 is louder, and it is on the spec sheet as well. But I will say the tonal quality is a little different on this guy. The Evox 5 is a great unit, really nice and portable, but lacks a little bit of the mid-range that we get from these multiple drivers here and the way this is crossed over. So I think it actually has maybe a little more low and a little bit better, more natural mid-range than the Evox 5. Where the Evox 5 wins, and this would be really about my only complaint with this guy, is in form factor. The Evox 5, when it's all packed up, it's in a case, and it's a little bit bigger than a carry-on luggage. I could fit probably half a dozen of those in the back seat of my pickup. This guy's a little bit bigger, a little heavier, and as of yet, Peavey does not have a dedicated bag for these. The Evox, of course, has got that really slick feature that the top stores in the back of the subwoofer. This doesn't. And like I said, there's no bags available quite yet for it. I'm going to go on a hunt for some bags, mainly for these tops here, just to make it easily portable. And that would be my only other complaint. I guess there's a couple. Form factor, I guess it's all in one. So the Evox wins on that. And then also these connections here with the thumb screw. I can see the thumb screw's getting lost. And maybe, time will tell on that ribbon connector. That's generally, the way this thing is, though, it's really solid. And I wouldn't suggest it, but you could probably just about pick up this whole thing by holding the top units. Don't do it, okay? But I think that you could. It's pretty strong. I love the mixer section, and that's something that I really wish would be added to all the Evox line. That's just such a great feature. So winner over the Evox on some of those features, a little bit on the tone, and I'm mainly picking on the Evox 5 just because they're very similarly priced. The Evox 5, I believe, is $999 MAP, and this guy's $899, so actually $100 cheaper, and you get that mixer. Long-term quality, like I said, the Evox is a little louder than this guy, but not significantly. It's only about 3 to 4 dB louder, so I don't think that's really a big factor for most users. I think we have a winner here. Peavey did a good job with this guy. It looks nice, sounds great, has a lot of features, and just pretty pleased that we got some of these in. So if you have any more questions about this, make sure and check us out at yourmusichq.com on our website. You can swing down here to beautiful downtown Ogallala and listen to them in person. And make sure and follow us on Facebook, check out the Reverb store, all that kind of good stuff, and we hope to see you soon.